here this afternoon. I call the meeting of the May 5th Commissioners Task Force to order. Welcome everybody that is being live streamed and those that are listening to us today, and we welcome everyone. I'm having computer trouble, so I'm seeing you today on my iPad. So if you are going to send something on the chat or something like that, I may have difficulty seeing that. So I've asked Michaela to make sure that I know anything I need to know. I will not be ignoring people on purpose. Today's agenda has been provided. Are there any changes to the agenda? If not, a motion would be in order to approve. That's Tracy and Bert. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? That motion carries. At least the ones I could see of you, that motion carried. And are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the April 6th Task Force meeting? If not, a motion would be in order to approve.
So moved.
Jamie and Mike. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I want us to be thinking of something. We have 9 applications that have not been submitted to us yet. That's the only thing left. ESSER II applications. We're only $400,000 short of being complete with ESSER II, and then only 9 that have not been presented after tonight. And so I am anticipating that we will have approved, or we will have opportunity to have approved all of the all of the first recommendations by the time we meet next month. At that time, and I'm not making this recommendation, I'm saying that I would like for us to consider, since the only thing left would be change request, that we consider giving the department. I think that we've seen that they're very persnickety about what they send to us, that we perhaps might give them pretty broad authority on the change request. And then perhaps if they have questions, then we can meet maybe on an on-call basis, or maybe on a every other month up to that point, unless they're time sensitive for the school districts. I'm not making that recommendations. I'm saying that's something that I think that maybe we can consider at that time and discuss at that time, so that we might be able to make because we are winding down with what's left, and I want to make it as easy as possible. I believe it's up to you, Doug, to bring us through this process.
Thank you, Chairman Porter. So hopefully you can see everything right now. Move some things around here. So getting into the ESSER II changes, we've got 8 districts submitting changes this month. The total net change for those 8 is going to be $71,000. So as we look at the districts, Rawlins County uses up the rest of their allocation. Northeast is just moving some money around. Pittsburgh uses up the rest of their allocation. Then we go Emporia and Barber County North are just moving money around. Holton uses up the rest of their allocation. Then we've got Caney Valley just moving money. Halstead uses up the rest of theirs. Net change $71,000. If you remember last month, we were at about $500,000 left. This 71,000 gets us down to about 400,000 left that has not been earmarked for anything. And once again, that's still Topeka sitting with over 300,000 of that 400,000 that's left. So we're pretty darn close. The teaching and learning piece, then we're sitting at 75% for a cumulative total.
Questions or comments? And since I can't see very well, just go ahead. Don't wait to be called on. If you have a question, just ask it. I do not see any. So if there are no questions, a motion would be in order to approve the ESSER 2 change request.
Adam
This
Thomas,
is-
so moved.
Adam
Bert,
Thomas moved, and I
second.
didn't hear. Who was that?
Bert seconded.
Okay, Bert seconded. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. And now let's go on to ESSER 3. Doug?
Okay, so for ESSER 3, we've got 18 districts that this is their first time through with their plans, and then we've got 26 districts that have submitted change requests. Those changes will total about $4 million. As we look at where we're at, 259 approved, 26 changes today, 18 new plans. That leaves us with 9, as Chairman Porter said. And I've seen the schedule for Monday, and we have 6 of those 9 that have resubmitted for us to get through secondary review, and they were just small tweaks that they needed to make. So we're hoping that we'll knock 6 of those 9 out on Monday. And then demographics of the districts, then looking at the funds, those 18 districts had 14.6 million at their disposal. The plans represent 13.3 million of that. The per district numbers, Otis Bison is at the low end at 109,000, Leavenworth at the top end at 2.3 million. And then the per pupil spending, Gossel is the low end at 417, and Northern Valley's at the high end of $1,892. This batch's teaching and learning works out to about 77%. The funds going towards the teaching and learning. And then as we look at our cumulative ESSER 3, 704 million has been approved so far, 13.3 million in this batch, leaving us with just over $50 million. And our cumulative is looking at about 81% of the funds going towards teaching and learning.
Any questions from the pre-read for the new submissions for ESSER 3? Seeing none, let's move to the change request.
Okay. So the change requests, as I said earlier, there's about a $4 million net change. As we look at these, Cheyenne for touchless faucets, Bonner Springs, curriculum and a psychologist, Remington, Whitewater, water filling stations, Elkhart, water filling stations. Then Gardner actually moved some money around, and they actually went down. So they've got $75,000 almost back at their disposal for other things. Cherokee's just moving money around. Girard, $32,000 for curriculum. Emporia, $180,000 for curriculum and salaries. Iola, they got all of their paperwork in, so a big chunk of that is going to be for an HVAC project. Oberlin uses up the rest of their allocation for premium pay and curriculum. Lincoln, curriculum and summer school. Nickerson, an HVAC project that got all their paperwork turned in for, so that's $197,000. Marysville, HVAC project and salaries. Ellis for curriculum. Rose Hill actually put in changes for 14,000, but we deemed those ineligible, and we'll talk about those in just a second. And then Peabody Burns, 13,000 for technology. Augusta, another 41,000 for PD and curriculum. Marion Florence, 53,000 curriculum. Osage City curriculum. Kiowa County uses up the rest of their allocation for premium pay and salaries. Then Santa Fe Trail, an HVAC project that uses up the rest of their allocation. Dighton uses up the rest of theirs for HVAC and water filling system stations. El Dorado actually withdrew several line items that had been approved prior, some technology, a staff position, and then they're using some money for summer school and salaries, but they actually went $500,000 in the wrong direction. And then Galena using 373,000 technology and premium pay. Parsons, 225,000 for salaries. Attica uses up the rest of their allocation for an HVAC project. And then I mentioned earlier the two items that we deemed ineligible from Rose Hill. These are air quality sensors in two different buildings. They're basically the same things. Fits in line with the security camera piece that we have been pretty consistent in deeming ineligible. The air quality piece you really can't use to detect a virus. It's more for smoking and vaping. So we deemed those two ineligible. The change request, as I said, a net change of 4.1 million. That'll get us down to 46.6 million, still needing to be earmarked, but we're still running at 81% for teaching and learning, which is pretty good for the amount of money we've got in ESSER 3.
Questions or comments about any of the change requests, including the ineligible? Seeing none, I suppose a motion would be in order to approve the recommendations as presented. Bert? Is that the motion? And Nick? Go ahead, Bert.
I just said I so move. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to stay muted because we're decorating.
And Nick seconded the motion. By the way, how many proms is that, Bert?
$34.
You're a saint.
Yes, I would think so. Yeah.
There certainly
about
must be. Can't there be an ESSER category for that, Doug? I mean, there ought to be some premium pay for that right there.
My 15 pale in comparison.
Well, I've been to that many, but I haven't planned that many, and I certainly don't miss that part of the job. Okay, I guess we ought to get back to business. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. All opposed? That motion carries. I mentioned earlier that we may want to consider in the future giving since basically everything's going to be left with change request. Another reason for that is that we will have several members of this group who will be retiring, and at this point, it's, I think, maybe, first of all, we can't replace them because of the excellent job they've done, but it would be difficult for somebody to come in at this stage with the knowledge of the people that are leaving have. So I just, as I said, I'm not making the recommendation. I'm just opening it up for discussion, and we'll have that discussion at the next meeting. Anything else for the good of the order?
I was just going to say at the elementary level, you wouldn't have a prom, but you would have field days to be in charge of. So
That's true.
That category. And it's also great to have Adam Thomas here.
Yes, Adam. We're certainly glad to see you. By the way, Pat, my son-in-law just went to his first parent field trip last week, so he's ready to give that up to somebody else.
Well, it's great to see at least half of everybody.
Yes.
Thank you, Senator.
We certainly hope that you're doing well, and wish you the best in the future.
That will be all
being
right.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your service, and we are adjourned.